So you're just out of school and you're excited to get into the job market, but reality hits you. Every job posting seems like they need someone with experience, and no one is even talking about how you can get that experience. If that's you, then this video is for you. Hi there, my name is Priya Pina, and on this channel, I share tips, tricks, lessons, and experiences I'm learning while trying to figure out life as I go. So you don't have to make the same mistake that I did. I'm going to give you and share exact steps that took me from where I was to where I want to be, and I will also take you to where you are right now to where you want to be. And just take me as the elder sister that you didn't think that you needed. So let's get into this video. First of all, I would like to clarify it is not unusual to feel stuck after school, like to feel not sure of how to actually get jobs. You're probably scrolling through a lot of job openings right now and seeing, or most of them saying their entry level but asking for some kind of experience. And honestly, it's not really unusual. Reason is because many companies, first of all, we have so many people graduating from school at the same time with with less openings. Basically, there are no new openings in many organizations. It's mostly just nowadays. I feel like the job market is mostly just replaced. Everybody's just moving from one company to another and things like that. They're not really new. I don't think companies are scaling as much. If I'm wrong, someone can correct me in the comment section. But I feel like companies are not really scaling, like having new roles open up. It's mostly most thing is replacements. If someone leaves the role, goes to another company, and then they have to like employ someone else for that role. And many times companies don't have the time. If they have a specific need, let's say they need someone to take care of social media immediately, they're not really looking at someone who doesn't have experience with it. They need that problem. Like I would always tell people, companies employ people to solve problems for them. So they have a specific problem they might want to solve, and they don't have the time to wait for someone who has no experience in code, maybe someone from school who doesn't really know what to do at that time, because they're going to look at times, the period of time it takes to train and all of that. And one other thing I feel is the educational system is not really doesn't really mirror what as much as they really try, but it doesn't really mirror. You can't really compare academic and the corporate world basically. And I feel like it might have something to do with like the teachers. Many of them have probably no work in the industry to know how it is, so it doesn't really mirror. It seems like it doesn't really mirror like what the corporate world is. But if you had the opportunity to get an internship during if you've never heard the word internship, I'll be talking about this in this video. If you had the opportunity to go for an internship during like when you were in school, you probably notice. So right now you might be wondering, oh lady, you've said so much, how exactly do I get that experience? Anyways, hold your horses. I'm going to explain and I'll share my experience with it. So I was in the same exact position about 3 years ago. I was just fresh out of school, and in all honesty, I studied a course that I felt like didn't really have much prospect for me, especially because I had other interests while leaving school. It's quite easier for someone who probably went to law school and know that exactly what they want to do is to become a lawyer. But for me, it wasn't like that. I was out of school on a different course, and I knew that I wanted to get into something entirely different. So while at school, I already, at least in my final year of school, I already knew, oh, I would be doing something else. But I didn't know how to navigate the job market. But with the lessons that I'll be, or the tips that I'll be sharing in this video today, I was able to take practical steps. And in a couple of months after school, I think it took me about roughly, let's say, I think about 5 months or so, I landed my first role. It wasn't exactly perfect what I wanted, but it literally put my feet at the door. So first thing first, like every professional anywhere, there's this popular saying that most teachers, if you probably went to school here in my home country, Nigeria, or I feel like maybe it's a worldwide thing, most teachers will always tell you have to get um your tools ready. Basically, you can't come to school without a pen, you can't come to school without a book. So basically you can't do anything in any profession without your tools. You have at least your major tools that you must have. So for instance, in terms of the job searching, basically, in terms of job hunting, trying to get a job, trying to get into the corporate world, big girl, it's oh boy, it's the first thing that you must do is make sure you have a CV. In the corporate world, your CV is like your most important tool. So, what's a CV? If you've never heard the word CV, you might have heard of the word resume. So, a CV is basically like a rundown of everything you've done so far in terms of professional accomplishment. It runs down your summary, it runs down your education, probably what you studied in school, how it relates to the skills you got there. It's also your skills, basically skills that you have probably taught in school or learned outside, and that's it consists of hard skill, soft skill. I will probably dive into it a bit, and it also consists of your experience and certifications if you have any. So your summary is basically it's usually divided into different sections. Your professional summary is basically a summary of everything that you are professionally. Your education, basically what you learned in school, your major. And skills, hard skills are basically like technical. What softwares can you use? What technical things basically? What softwares? What platforms? What exactly can you do basically in terms of technical skills? And I'm not talking about tech, I'm just talking about technical skills. It might mean anything for anybody, depends on the field that you're getting into, like skills that are specific for that a role. Soft skills are general, are more general skills. They're more qualitative, or like in the word soft, basically there are things like communication, things like teamwork, adaptability, and all that stuff. That's soft skills. So you must have a combination of both. Most organizations want you to have a combination of both. And I can tell you for a fact, you might be asking yourself, do I have any of those skills? Yeah, you probably do. You just need to sit down and map them out. You've learned a lot of things. We like to, what I noticed while I was basically trying to get into the job market and so far in the corporate life is sometimes we downplay our degrees. Our degrees are not entirely useless the way some people want to make it seem. There are a lot of skills and there's a lot of courses that should or that actually give you skills that are needed in the job market. People, I hear people talk about, oh, why do I need to know algebra? I'm not using it in the real world. I have had times as someone who works with data a lot on at least sheets basically and other things. There have been times when I had to at least use um a google a mathematical function or formula, and those are things I got way back from high school and things like that. So there are certain skills that you learned that you don't just think are relevant, so you have to sit down and know what skills are actually important based on the job description. Then certifications, I'll be talking about how you can get that because you might be wondering right now, how can I get certifications? What are they in the first place? Is it my certificate? No, it's not. It's entirely different. These are just certifications of skills, or maybe you took an exam that is in relation to your career. So that's very important. Your CV. If you do not have a CV right now and you're trying to get into the job market, you're on the wrong side. You really need to get a CV or a resume. I will be adding a template, a free template in the description of this video. So if you, for any reason, need to download it, you can use it. And you can also, if you have questions, you can basically send a comment. I would always be in the comments to answer any questions that you have regarding making sure that your CV is up to par, basically, or at least having a basic draft. Because you would have to, why I'm talking about draft is because for many jobs, at least it's something that I've done and I continue to do that has at least gotten me ahead is I have a CV for every job that I apply to. I'll be talking a little bit about that and when I first applied that in another section of this video. So you should have a basic draft, a draft that you can then incorporate, especially at the beginning when you don't know what you want to do. You might have to apply to all sorts of jobs, so all sorts of roles. So you need to tailor your CV. You're not going to use the same CV you use for this company that is looking for this thing for another company. It might, you're not changing everything entirely, but it has to be different, like specific to that job role. Because one thing is that there's this thing that I've heard people talking about a lot, and I've worked in HR a little bit. Um, and it's that the HR, the hiring manager, basically have just a few seconds to scan through your CV, and there I would now come and talk about how clean your CV should look. So recently, someone like reached out to me, basically talking about how she needed the job, and I asked her for a CV because I just wanted to take a look at it. Many of the times, if you're applying to jobs and you're not getting called back, I know that the job market is kind of wonky right now. But first of all, I am someone who's big on, you have to assess yourself first before you start thinking if it's someone outside or if something, an external factor, basically. So I asked, can I see your CV? And I am not an hiring manager. And I just realized that this CV looks a lot, it's a lot basically to unpack. She had a lot of experience, but I just feel like they were not um specific for the job role. There are some things that were not necessary. They were like, if you're in your first 5 years of your career, you shouldn't be having a three-page CV. You shouldn't be having a three-page CV, honestly. I would always say empty is better than just having a bunch of stuff that the area manager is not going to be able to figure out what is actually important. Because if they have just few seconds to look at your CV, honestly, it's just scanning through and looking at what's important. What does this person have the skills nowadays? I know that many companies actually even use ATS, so it's AI doing all of that. But if the hiring manager, if you even get to the next stage and the hiring manager has to like still look through your CV and they have a bunch of CVs to go over, they're not going to have the time to like see something you put in the third paragraph. I'm just saying, like, so it has to be clean. You don't have to. Doesn't have to have any fancy layouts. Putting your passport. I see people put passports on CV. I think it's great, but I've never personally had a passport like my picture on my CV. Having some calligraphic font, having some pink colors, like to make it creative. Except you are applying to a creative role, or you just want to, if you're doing that, I don't, that might be stressful. I've gone on social media, LinkedIn, which I'll be talking about, and I've seen someone who submitted a CV for Netflix job, a job at Netflix, and that person basically used the color of Netflix, used their logo. It looked really great. But if you're applying to, it will make your CV basically stand out because the hiring manager have seen that my want to say, oh, okay, what's going on? Like, let me see what's happening. But it also has its, first of all, are you going to be doing that for every single job? Like, if you're applying to, especially right now that you have to apply to a lot of jobs to be able to even get an interview. So, will you be doing that for every job? Like, every company, you would have to like do that. Second of all, is it's risky in the sense that many companies nowadays do not actually do physical scanning through. They send CVs to the ATS, which is an AI system. I think it's called applicant tracking system. That AI is basically the one reading through, and the AI does not have the capability to read through those fancy fonts, colors. It can't read through. So basically, it's more like reading through a blank CV or a blank paper. So it's risky. I feel like it's risky, except you've gotten yourself at the front of the door. I don't know how that will work, but I personally, and you hear many people out there say, keep it clean, keep it very clean. Arial, New Time Romance, or something, a font that is very clean, basic size, not too long, one page. If you're just trying to get your first job, I would think that probably your CV should just be one page or one and a half page. Because if you don't have much thing, then it's better basically for it to be empty than messy. Better um clean, better than messy. So don't have irrelevant things in there. Irrelevant things is they're relevant, but they may not be relevant to the job. For example, you can be applying to a job to be a marketing intern and then talking about maybe babysitting experience. Those are experiences, life experiences basically. There's so many things I've done in life that I can't add on my CV, but I know basically I got this skill from there. And when I need them, maybe I come across another opportunity that might need me to talk about that aspect, then I do. But many jobs will not need a babysitting experience. Yeah. So the next thing is have a LinkedIn profile. A LinkedIn profile is basically a must have nowadays when you're trying to get a job. it's a social media platform, but somehow it became something that most hiring managers would literally go look out for when they are trying to like assess if you're a good candidate. So right now, LinkedIn is very big. People go there to, first of all, it has like different sections. There's a part where you get to network with people, like speak to other professionals. Basically, you can go to people's pages, like people's profile. Let's say for instance you're trying to get into marketing, you can go to someone who has been in marketing for a couple years and go look out to see what that person has done or the skills that that person got, the courses that person got. You can even reach out. So you can basically reach out to someone probably who you admire their journey so far in the job market, in their career. Basically, I keep using the word job market. I actually mean in their career, and it's a great place to actually start to put yourself out there. I'm not so much on LinkedIn like I was at the beginning of my career, but I will not downplay how important LinkedIn was to my journey. At the very first job I got, I did a lot of LinkedIn things on. I did a lot of strategic things, on using LinkedIn and the rest of it. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile today, I'll be dropping a link in the description. You can basically create an account and add basic stuff. It's easy to get intimidated on LinkedIn because there are a lot of people doing a lot of things. When you get into the app, it looks messy. Not messy, it looks chaotic if you don't know what's happening already. We have people posting a lot of achievements, accomplishment. One thing I will tell you is that you shouldn't um, feel somehow about it. There's a word I'm looking for, but don't feel intimidated about it. Just learn as much as you can from these people. And it's also a good place to actually network. You can get into DMs, like people's DMs, like direct message. I am someone who is not afraid to enter people's DM. But when I'm going into someone's DM, as much as you should go into people's DM, let's say someone you admire that has done something that you feel, I like this path that this person has taken. I try my best when I'm going to offer value and have respect for people's time. And don't get angry when you send someone a message and the person does not respond to you. Many people are really busy and might not see your message until a while. But it's also always great to have a like a long shot at it. Basically, you can basically see anybody's profile. You can reach out to Mark Zuckerberg. Not saying you should reach out to Mark Zuckerberg. I'm just saying that most founders, CEO, like are basically on LinkedIn. You can get connected with them, you can network with them. If you have a dream job, let's say you decide you want to work for Meta or whatever, you can basically find the hiring manager there and reach out. And if you have value to offer, you can basically get your foot basically at the door. So the third thing I would always say is upskill. The reason why many people, so when someone comes to me and tell me that they've been job searching for, I know that the job, like I always say, the job market right now isn't as glamorous as it should be. But many times I like to self-evaluate. So when someone comes to me and say that they're looking for a job and they don't have a job, or maybe they've been applying and they haven't gotten any callbacks or feedback from any of the companies, what I usually ask is, first of all, your CV. Number two, how much are you doing? I'll be talking about that in the next. I know I've talked a lot in the next point, but the other thing is basically what skills do you have? What are you offering? Like I said, many jobs are have open positions because they're trying to solve a problem, a particular problem, and if they don't find someone who fits the box basically to that they feel like is going to help them solve that problem, then they're just going to leave that position, still searching basically. So, what skills do you have? You have to upskill. If you currently out of school right now, aside the skills or things that you learned in school, many times jobs will also ask you for other things that you probably never heard of, you probably never done before. So your first few months out of school, or if you're still in school and you're already, like I did during my time, I basically was already looking into the job market right before school. Then you're in the end watching the right video basically. So You have to go into, first of all, what kind of roles do you want? At the beginning of your career, you might not know what kind of roles you want. So there are specific roles. It also goes down to applying strategically. You cannot be like starting your career and you don't have any basic skills and be applying to roles that are asking for specific things. You might want to start out with roles like a graduate trainee role, an internship in a particular field. Let's say you're interested in marketing. I keep using marketing for some reason in this video. Let's say you're interested in marketing and you have no idea what marketing is. You first of all you have to go and do your research. Let's say you've heard a little bit about it, but you don't know how do you become a professional in marketing. You have to do your research. Tools like ChatGPT is very, very useful nowadays. You can basically go into ChatGPT and tell them, "Oh, I have the degree in this, and I'm trying to get into this, and what should I do? What should I learn for the next couple of months?" And you have to be patient with yourself, especially at the beginning. If you don't have any skills right now, the first thing you should be trying to do is get the skills that are needed for the job. Every job posting that you've gone to, and they're asking you for some sort of tools or skills or whatever that you don't have, you can also learn it with free content, free resources everywhere. You can basically learn it in the shortest period of time. I learned data analytics um, without having to go to any school for it, like get a degree or whatever. I learned most things that I got through Coursera, through YouTube, and LinkedIn, and all other free resources out there. You can, with the amount of things that we have right now, free information, you can basically become anything you want to become without having to break your bank. Basically, at least you get the basic skills, the basic knowledge, and know the tools that you want to learn. So first of all, that job, go to the job description. What are they asking for? What don't you have? What tools don't you have? Like, what don't you have presently? Then you go, you probably get a course. There are free places you can get courses from. There are places you can get courses from. There's Coursera. I think Coursera gives a financial aid, where you basically have to tell them the reason why you need a course, what career you're trying to get into, and they waive off all or some of that fee. I know it can be expensive if you're someone probably in my home country here in Nigeria. It might be a little bit expensive, but you can. There are other places. Basically, YouTube. I learned to have most of the things I know out of, at least before my first job, out on YouTube. Just you have to dedicate time. You have to give yourself like about 3 months to learn everything that you need to know. But if, for example, you don't have anything, like currently you don't even know what you want to do, you've never actually thought of yourself as getting into the job market, and you don't know what fits. Basically, I mean corporate, that's what I want, the word I wanted to use, corporate. And you don't even know what fits what you would like to do, and you're thinking of getting into a graduate trainee program, or there are lots of graduate programs. There, graduate programs are basically what companies do when they want to get fresh talent in the sense that people that just fresh out of school, they don't really need any experience for that, and they just want to train you. They're going to train you for a while. You're working with, some programs are rotational in the sense that you work with different departments during that period of time, and whatever you, what best fits, if you get retained, you work in that department. But that doesn't mean they're not still going to just hire anyone off the back. You must still have basic skills. Because when you're training someone, at least the person has to have basic skills. So what are the basic skills that you should have? I personally would recommend Google Workspace or Microsoft Workspace. Google Workspace or Microsoft Workspace are basically, is it Microsoft Suite? Yeah, it's different, but they're very similar. So it's like Excel and Google Sheets, they're basically like the same. They just have a few features that are different. Or if you don't have any of that, like Word and Google Docs. So first and foremost, you should try to learn Google Docs, try to learn Google Workspace, basically basic stuff, how to work with sheets, how to create a document basically on Google Docs, or if it's Microsoft Suite you're learning, depends. Um, Basic presentation. Nowadays, you don't even need PowerPoint or Google Slides anymore. You have Canva. Canva is very important. You have to learn basic how to use Canva. I'm going to talk about how Canva helped me get my first job. Canva is very, very important. You have to be able to do basic design. it looks really clean. It makes your whatever you're presenting look really clean. And there are a lot of templates on Canva. There's so much you can do on Canva. So basic skills you should learn: Google Suite and Canva. If you don't know where else, like what else to learn at the beginning of your career, at least that's going to help you stand out among other other candidates who don't have any experience whatsoever. I will be putting the link to everything I'm talking about here, hopefully, if I remember everything, in the comment section. Feel free to ask me any question that you have. I'm always here to respond to any of them. So, the third thing would be to apply strategically. I've talked about one kind of application strat, like when you're planning, applying properly, the proper way. The one other thing I would like to talk about basically is that you should understand that applying to jobs is a numbers game. A numbers game in the sense that you have to do more. Everything basically in life is a numbers game. You have to do more. Nothing is easy. Nothing is easy. Nothing is simple, but it's easy. Something like that. But nothing is basically just running the medals. It's you have to literally put in the effort for anything that you're trying to do. So you can't be applying to say, oh, I need to get a job. Give yourself a goal. I need to get a job. Let's say right now you're starting from ground zero, and you're saying in the next 3 months I need to get a job. You should actually like lock in basically to prepare yourself for the journey basically, because you're in a pool of at the beginning of your career, you're in a pool of applicants. There are a lot of people fighting for that position, so you have to be able to stand out from the crowd. So first of all, you have to learn the skills. Keep out time to learn the skills. You can decide, oh, every um 2 hours, like 2 hours per day I will learn this skill, or this month I'm going to learn Google Suite, next month I'll learn Canva. And also you can be applying for um one job per week. That's not going to get you anywhere. It might get some people somewhere, I don't know, but so far so good. It's been You have to, especially with the job market, you have to apply to as many as you can, as many as you can. So like the more the merrier. The more you have, the better opportunities you get to be called back. If you apply to so many jobs and then you have so many offers, then you cannot pick the best and say, oh, I'm going for this because they have a higher pay. I'm going for this because I like the prospects like of my future and things like that. So it's better you have more than have less. So I personally recommend 5 per day list. 5 per day. If you have more time, you can do 10. In If you calculate that, it will even shorten the period of time that you have to like search for a job. So if you do, let's say first thing you're doing 5 per day, 5 times, let's say you're not doing weekends, 20 days, that's about 5 times 20 is about 100. So you've done 100 in a month, which is good. Out of that 100, you might have a few interviews. And I will also be talking about interviews. You should not you take interviews as practice. So your first few interviews might just be practice interviews because you are not it's probably your first time. So you don't take it the hard way if you don't do well and things like that. I'm going to talk about preparation for interviews and those tips in the next point. Yeah. So basically you should apply to more is what I'm trying to say. So if you're doing 10, that's about 10 times 20 days, about 200. That's so much. You're already a lot of percentage ahead of so many people, because people say they're looking for jobs and applying for one job or two. It's not going to, because like I said, many of these job openings they're probably run by ATS, and ATS is already like scanning you out of it. So just to be ensured that you are in a safe place, you have to apply to more jobs. Just apply, but be strategic about it. And yeah. So the next thing basically is you have to try to stand out in terms of strategy. You have to try to stand out. I mentioned about how I used Canva to get my first job. Basically, in that job application, um we were asked for a video. Like many jobs will ask you, they want a video, a introduction video of who you are. And I recorded that video on my laptop because I think I didn't have a great phone then. I recorded it on my laptop. The visuals were bad, and the audio too was kind of bad. Although I use apps like those are the reason why you must have basic editing apps, basic editing skills. I use apps like Vid to be able to like clean up the audio and things like that. But one thing that really stood out to my because my the hiring manager at that time told me that the thing that really made me stand out was basically because I added subtitles basically. Like many applicants wouldn't do that because probably applying to a lot of jobs and don't have the time to do that. I added subtitles, captions, like which is you think it's just basic, but apparently it stood out. I added captions, and the second thing is that I added music, an intro, image, an intro video, and then an outro, something like a design. I don't know if I have that video. If I have it, I will just be sharing it, like sharing the intro video and the sound that I use. I used some side of sound. It's watching it now. It's kind of funny, but that basically stood out because they knew, oh, this person is not just made the extra effort. Basically, I made the extra effort to use Canva to create that, and that was just a template. I just edited it with my own details and attached it to that video. So you have to be strategic. Another part of strategy is basically to get a list. I got it. I had a list as of that time. I had a list of, I think, about 50 companies that I felt like I would want to work for. There are a lot of companies, but just as you go by, as you are on LinkedIn job board, you will see a lot of companies basically. I had a list of companies which I knew I was going to apply a CV for every one of that company. And what I did was I didn't mind if those companies were actually hiring. I basically got in, like I said, I like to get into DMs. I literally found the hiring manager, found someone who worked in the company and started connecting with at least two or three persons in that company. Like you don't want to run out of like connections. So at least two or three persons, the hiring manager and someone else that you think seems approachable, maybe someone else in the department you're looking at, basically reach out to them and tell them, oh, I'm trying to get into this field and I feel like your company is the best place for me to start my career. And if you want a template for it, I can basically share it also in the comment section. This is like a company I might want to start my career, and this is my CV. Um, I would really like to get an opportunity to be able to speak to like what values I can offer to the organization. Who can I reach out to? If you're reaching out to someone that is not a hiring manager, basically reach out to the hiring man. And I do that for most jobs. When I apply to a job, often like if it's an opening, I still reach out to the hiring manager that or maybe the manager of the department that I'm trying to get into and lay my course basically. They might not answer me, they might not give me a response, it might be a negative response, but at least I tried. I reach out and say, okay, this is what I have, this I see you're trying to solve this problem, and these are the skills I have, and I feel like I might be able to use those skills to solve the problem for your organization. Basically do that for all the companies that you've listed out. Reach out with your specific CV. And how you can refine your CV, that's one thing I didn't talk about, is you can use ChatGPT or AI or whatever AI that you're using. Some people use Gemini, Perplexity. AI is very useful with things like this. You can basically just copy out that draft that you've created and say, I want to apply for this role at this company. Can you help me refine it to match as make me the best candidate for the role and for this company, and what look at him make magic for you basically. So you copy and then you clean it out, make it look good, not remove things that make it so obvious that it's AI, because people can read AI. I basically can read AI and know this was generated by AI. So you make it sound natural basically. Another thing too you can do is basically use AI for your interview prep. So first thing first is that you should realize that three tips I'll be sharing quickly is that you should realize that your interview is basically more of a conversation. You're getting to know what the company does, what they need, and the hiring manager is trying to get to know you and find out if you are a good fit for the company and for the role. So treat it like a conversation. Be confident, just the same way you'll be able to talk to anybody. don't don't have to be nervous. At your very first time, second time, that's why I said the very first ones might be horrible, but you don't have to like take it to heart. That's the reason why you must apply to more jobs. The more jobs you apply to, the more learning experience that you have. Because if you have more, you will not be, if you have a lot of applications, you might not be too worried that you messed up one interview, because you know I'm still applying and get more interviews. So you get more experience like doing interviews basically. You can also like, there are AI platforms right now that you can actually have a mock interview with for a particular job. I can't see any on top of my head right now, but if I find any, I would also add it to the description. So you can basically practice with that. You can practice with someone at home, like in terms of preparing for interview. And I feel like that's the last thing basically that I'll be talking about in terms of interview prep. Just realize that every interview opportunity you get is, you are closer to the door with every interview step. Take it as practice. And yeah, that's basically it for everything in this video. I know this video was practically long, but I really hope that you found it useful. And if you have any questions, you can drop it in the comment section. I'll be there to respond to your questions. And one thing you should always realize, remember, is persistence. Keep learning, keep trying, and surely in a couple of months you will be out of that or feeling stuck situation. If you like videos like this, videos on how to navigate life, career, basically in your 20s, and you like to learn things I have learned while trying to figure out life, I would say you should subscribe to this channel, and please like this video, share it to someone who you think might actually need it. And I'll be looking to see you in the next video. Bye.